Welcome back to Copper Age Gold. We're at Cincinnati Comic Expo, and we are hanging out with the legendary Jim Shooter. How's it going, man?
If you love toys and comics, Copper Age Gold.
It's doing very well.
Yeah?
It's very busy here. It's a very fun convention.
Yeah.
Lots of celebrities, lots of great artists and writers.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's really happening here. It's very busy.
Yeah, it's a really good show. I love coming to GalaxyCon Columbus. It's really fun. So one of the great legendary things about your career is that you started so incredibly young. You started at age, what, 13, 14?
13.
Wow, that's amazing to me. So you were not happy with the way DC Comics were being written, and you thought to yourself as a kid, even at 13, 14, I can write a better story than that, and I'm going to send it off and see if I can get a job.
Something like that.
Something like that, okay.
I mean, basically, I was 13 years old. My family needed money.
Yeah.
And when you're 13, they're not going to give you a job in a factory.
Right.
And so I thought, what can I do? How can I make money?
Yeah.
And I loved comics. I thought somebody must get paid for this. and so I wrote 3 comic books and laid them out. I mean, it made it look as much like a comic book as I could.
So you did art as well? Or
Yes, kind of roughs.
Okay.
You know, and I sent them into DC Comics.
Okay.
To Mort Weisinger, who was the head editor there. And after the third one, he called me up and he says, "You want to buy these 3?
Yeah.
And we want to start using you as a regular writer."
Wow.
And that was what I was going for.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it wasn't that I thought I was so much better than the writers at DC.
Right.
It's just that I read Marvel Comics and I read DC Comics.
Yeah.
And I knew I couldn't write as well as Stan.
Right, well, yeah. Right.
So I figured I'd have a better shot at DC.
Yeah.
And I loved some of the DC characters.
Yeah.
Superman, Superboy, Legion of Superheroes.
Yeah, you were very instrumental in creating superheroes as well.
Yeah, and I created a lot of stuff for them. But it was just a matter of trying to make a living. But then, I loved comics, and I was having such a good time doing it. I just kept doing it.
Right.
And so here I am 60 years later.
60 years later, right here, still signing books. That's cool. Okay, so tell us about Secret Wars. Secret Wars is celebrating their 40th anniversary, an amazing comic book series, an amazing toy line. What do you remember about that?
Everything.
Everything?
But the thing is, like, after 5 years at DC and then a few years doing advertising comics for Levi's Jeans, US Steel, places like that, I started getting work again as a writer, and then eventually was hired as an editor at Marvel.
Right.
After a couple of years, became editor-in-chief. And I was just trying to, the industry was dying.
Yeah.
And we were trying to save it.
Yeah.
And we did. I got some really great people to work for me. Archie Goodwin, Louise Simonson, Larry Hama. That's like Murderer's Row.
Right, yeah, for sure.
And so we started doing really well. And then when Mattel wanted to do a toy line, mostly because Kenner was doing superheroes.
Superpowers. Yeah.
They were doing the DC characters.
Yep.
Those toy companies all spy on each other. And so they came to Marvel, and I talked them into, doing a license with us. And I knew it had, part of the deal was they didn't care about the story. They didn't care about the comic book at all.
Right.
They didn't ask us to show them anything. I wouldn't have anyway. And also, we didn't get a whole lot of say over the toy.
Right.
So, but whatever. What they wanted me to do was get them publicity.
Right.
And so I said, well, how about we do this big, epic 12-issue story?
Yeah.
All the major heroes, all the major villains. Make it really, spectacular.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that I'll get some publicity. And they said, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the other thing they said, well, all the DC characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Robin, that's the big 4.
Yeah.
They're known all over the world, but your characters aren't as well known.
Right.
I said, well, in this market, in the direct market, comic shops, conventions, so forth, we outsell DC 5-1.
Wow.
I said, so believe me, those people buy a lot of toys, and in that market, everybody knows these characters.
Speaking of direct market, you were obviously hugely instrumental in getting that going as well in the late 70s as well. Right?
It was 1978 is where we really took off.
Yeah.
But so anyway, with Secret Wars, well, that sold them. They were convinced. They asked me if I could get them any mass market publicity, not just to comics fans, but to the world. And I said, yeah, I think I can handle that. And so when I designed the Secret Wars story, I wanted to have some changes made in it, make it significant to the Marvel Universe. It's in continuity. It's not just some story off to the side. It actually is in the Marvel canon.
Actually, yeah, I think it might have been like the biggest collaboration at that time of superheroes and villains, right?
It was the first.
Yeah.
The first company-wide crossover.
Wow.
And then after it was such a success, everybody was doing. Next thing you know, DC's doing Crisis. Everybody's doing, every summer they're doing a crossover. But so to get publicity from Mattel, I didn't change my story at all. However, I arranged for the first time you saw the black costume on Spider-Man would be in January. Okay. January is when Mattel has their pre-toy fair.
Gotcha.
So all the buyers who were headed to Scottsdale, Arizona to buy in the toys, all they heard about on the news was Spider-Man's new costume, Secret Wars, stuff like that.
So it was
so Mattel was very happy with me.
That's great.
And then I timed this issue here, which is issue number 8, which is the origin of the black costume. I timed that for August. We get another big publicity bump from that. Why August? Because that's when Mattel sells in the Christmas toys. So just timing. It had nothing to do with changing the story at all.
Awesome.
And so Mattel was very happy with me. And so, you know, mission accomplished. It was a much bigger success than I ever imagined. Like I said, everybody started doing crossovers. And it became kind of a regular thing in the comics biz. It's a staple of comics marketing.
Absolutely.
So, you know, and here we are 40 years later still talking about it.
Yeah, man.
They're going to make a movie. You know, they've been reprinting it in special glossy editions. It's been reprinted 100 times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But so anyway, it's really pretty cool that it's still here, and it stands as a landmark in the history of the comics. No, I did lots of other things too. I had lots of other. I had great people working for me. We had good ideas. We made it happen. And not only did the industry was in bad shape, not only did we turn it around, the whole industry turned it around.
Yeah, for sure.
So so it was a really good time for comics back in the let's say the 80s.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I very much appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
My pleasure. Nice.